Welcome to How to Decorate from Ballard Designs, a weekly podcast all about the trials and triumphs of decorating and redecorating your home. I'm Caroline. I'm on the marketing team.
And I'm Taryn, and I'm a product designer.
I'm Liz. I head up the creative team.
We're your hosts. Join the expert team at Ballard Designs for tips, tricks, and tales from interior designers, stylists, and other talents in the design world.
Plus, we'll answer your decorating dilemmas at the end of each episode.
We love answering your questions, so don't forget to email us at podcast@ballarddesigns.net.
Now, on with the show.
Today, we have one of our favorite guests back here on the podcast. She's been on twice before. You know and love her. She is an author. She is a garden enthusiast, an entertaining expert, and she is the founder and editor-in-chief of Flower Magazine, Miss Margot Shaw. Margot, you have a new book, so we're here to talk about it. Flowering Outdoors, Gardens and Parties. You've had a previous book, Living Floral, which I know was a bestseller. So we're thrilled to have you back to get to preview the new book and share it with our audience.
I'm thrilled to be had back and share it with your audience. I love this podcast. It is maybe my favorite podcast I ever do. And I'm not sucking up. But no, it's just so much fun. And when it's over, I'm like, oh, do I have to leave?
Well, you come back anytime. We'd love to have you.
Well, thank you for inviting me this time to promote the new book.
Yes. Liz and I got to read it, and it really just, coupled with the gorgeous 70-degree day that we're having right now, it really put me in the mood for spring.
Yeah.
I was already texting my husband. I told you this before we were recording, that I was like, oh, we need to do this, this, and this. I can't wait. I was thinking maybe I need to host my book club. I don't know. All of the pictures and stories in the book of fabulous parties, entertaining. There were great tips from things that were easy to accomplish and maybe things that were a little bit of a, aspirational.
Yeah. Hey, we all have stretch goals.
Yes, stretch goals.
Yeah.
Good.
Really put me in the
Awesome.
In the
Stretch
spirit.
goals. That's a great term. Okay.
And Liz, I know you enjoyed it too, so it's exciting to get to chat with you about it and pick your brain.
Thank you.
This book is so chock full of tips for entertaining and exemplary gardens, like the most beautiful gardens and inspiring gardens, especially as things are just about to bloom here in Atlanta. We've got daffodils that I picked from my yard.
Thank you for bringing those in.
I know.
Well, the harbinger of spring.
Well, we couldn't have the editor of Flower Magazine here without fresh flowers.
You could.
We could, but
wouldn't be as much fun.
So tell me, what were some of the projects that really kind of stand out to you when you think about the book?
Gosh, good question. I have, favorites in different parts of the world and favorites in different parts of the book. So it's a tough question, but I just have to say they're all my children. And but one of my favorites would have to be Grey Gardens.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah.
Can I get an amen?
Yeah.
I mean,
oh my gosh.
I'm feeling the
Even just
agreement.
the name evokes
I mean,
visions in your...
and it is such a historical and storied location.
Yeah.
If anybody has not seen Grey Gardens, we're not friends yet. So go watch it, and then we're going to be best friends.
Then we can talk.
And then we can talk. Because Edie and little Edie, their spirits just live on and on and on. And just to see how Liz Lange took that home and revived it and brought new life and new grandeur to it is just so amazing.
It's a living monument to the Beals, but also Sally Quinn and Ben Bradley, who bought it and really saved it. Washington Post, they saved it. They rescued it. And they restored it to an extent, but it was always sort of a summer just sort of that more informal, not decorated mode that a certain generation and a certain type of person would have. They wouldn't get all caught up in, bright colors and, it was just some wicker and chintz. And from what Liz has told, and pretty. And she loved it. She rented it. And that's how she found out when it sold. Or was for sale. So she was queued up to, buy it. And she had such an affinity for the Beals and their initial life. And so she hired some great architects, Boris and Sheeran, and Mark Sykes and Jonathan Adler helped her with the decor. But I love things like she has a round pool that she built because as a youngster in LA, she remembered going to Bob Evans, the director's house, and seeing this dramatic circular pool and thinking, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen. I must have one someday. And she does.
Yeah.
Those kinds of touches that just make it really, really interesting and referential, not just a pretty house.
Right.
It's Liz's house, but it's also Sally's house. It's also Edie and Big Edie's house. She's kept the spirit of the Beals alive in there. Some of the wildness.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just without the raccoons.
Yeah.
In the attic.
Yeah. No. I don't even think Liz has a cat. But anyway.
Yeah, what you have beautiful gardens and outdoor spaces and of course indoor spaces, but in every single issue. So what sort of makes you think, okay, well this needs to go into the book versus because any of these projects could also be in the book or in the issues as well.
Yeah. Good question as well, because I think that's one of the things that makes us doing a book a simpler prospect because we have existing content. And we looked through to see, because Living Floral was entertaining and decorating, primarily interior. We wanted this to be more outdoor. So that narrowed the scope. We started looking at gardens and garden parties, and that's what's in the book. And then some new things that we produced. So it's a little bit of everything, but always with that sidebar from the experts of their personal pro tips, which I love.
Yes.
And then we're getting a lot of, just stuff that you don't get. If you don't have access to these artists and creatives and gardeners and designers. So they've just let us peek behind the curtain.
Yeah. I am I love a tabletop. I love a beautifully set table. And there was just so much in here. I felt like this would be if I was going to host a dinner party, this would be my first choice.
This is the go-to.
Yes. What can I draw an inspiration from? Just
love hearing that.
So many pretty napkins and table centerpieces
and never forget your place cards.
Yes.
Or your menu.
It's interesting. I was just on a cruise, which I had never been on, and we were with 12 couples, and every night we would go into the restaurant. We had these tables reserved, but we didn't have place cards, and it was fun, and it was a fabulous trip. Don't get me wrong, but I would have had place cards even for that, even on a ship, because some of us ended up sitting next to the same people a couple of times, and we love those people. But it's just, to have that thoughtful sort of, let's see who we want to sit next to who, and be sometimes random and sometimes thoughtful. But it just makes everybody feel comfortable when they know they're assigned a seat.
Yeah. There's always a moment of panic, I find, anytime you're hosting, where if someone, or if you're a guest, where you go and you are, okay, where do I sit? And the seat that you have for a dinner party, or even just going to a restaurant, feels so important.
You're locked in.
To the time you're going to have.
Yeah. It is.
So I always feel like it's just so much pressure.
Do you want a pro tip about that?
Yes.
Okay, here. This is really divulging my strange motives and behavior. But if I go to a party and there are no place cards,
Do you make them?
yes, I run to my car. No. I slip out to the powder room.
Oh, great
so
idea.
then you wait.
And then I take my time. And by the time I get back, everybody's seated and there's an empty spot and it's mine.
Love that idea. Oh, I'm doing that.
You can use that. You don't have to
I
credit
hate
me.
to be the first one to sit down.
I'm never the first one.
Yeah.
But if there's not an assigned seat, then I love to do that. And odds are it's, I need to go anyway. So,
my gosh, I'm trying that. Because I
No, that's
you don't know where
brilliant.
anyone's gonna sit, then you don't want to go first.
Oh my gosh, I always get this like junior high feeling of like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, who am I going to have lunch with? And what table am I going to sit at?
but
No
I
one
like
wants
the
to
ring-
sit with me.
we all want to sit with you, Liz. I love the randomness of being absent and then slipping in and going, oh, there's a place. Okay. Just like, and it's really a way to abdicate any kind of choice.
Yeah.
Or worrying
Yeah.
that nobody wants to sit by you.
Yeah.
See,
Okay.
I'm always more concerned that like there's a good conversation going on at the other end of the table.
Yeah.
Yes, and I'm not a part of it.
And I'm
Yeah.
not a part of that.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
want to be part of that. And oftentimes it's where my husband is. And they always separate us. And I'm like, huh. But
Okay, when you're setting a table, do you separate spouses?
I do.
You do. Okay.
every time.
Yeah.
How far apart? Like opposite ends or just
No, just not next to each other.
Okay.
I just think it's more interesting and it's more fun.
Yeah.
It's more fun. I love my husband and I love to go to parties with him, but I see him all the time. I don't want to sit next to him at a dinner party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not insecure in that
What
way.
if the couples may not know one another?
The couples I still think it's okay
Okay.
to separate. Yeah.
Sometimes I worry that if they're only just meeting for the first time,
Mhm.
the other couples,
Uh-huh.
then they may want their partner just sort of as a,
Security
crutch,
blanket.
security blanket. So sometimes I keep them together, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna
And you
stop
know
doing
what?
that.
This is America. You can do whatever you want. I mean, free. You just go ahead and seat those couples together. That
Yeah,
is
but
fine.
it's a good point. You see your spouse and your partner all the time. May as well.
And it depends, I mean, what are you after with your dinner party or your luncheon or whatever? Do you want people to meet each other? Are you trying to kind of network, make connections? Then
Yeah.
definitely
Yeah.
separate. But if not, I mean, just whatever you want.
Honestly, my table is not that big where there's really only so many like maybe two. So it's probably
true.
not an issue, but
Sweet of you to think of it. No, really. It's considerate.
okay. Yes, there were so many beautiful parties. But I also really loved at the end of the book the focus on creating a beautiful garden, because obviously there's a lot that goes into maintaining and planting, but there are also some common themes that you've highlighted in terms of ornamentation, architecture, and I loved going through those because it was a great reminder, like almost like a little checklist. Oh, okay, I need some great planters are important.
Yeah.
So walk our audience through the end of that, the back half of the book, and sort of what the thought process was there.
Well, the thought process for me was I'm not a gardener. My husband gardens, and I studied design and art history and then discovered flower arranging and event design and things like that and the art form that is. So, but a garden is like any interior project. You need the same elements: scale, proportion, composition, interest, detail, focal points, places to sit, places to lie down, places, to have a picnic, places to put your drink. If you want to live outdoors, if you want to have a beautiful flowering outdoor life, then it needs to be comfortable and pretty. I was on this other podcast, sorry, and the guy said, he was talking about our show house in Nashville, and he said it was just pretty. And he said, I've always said pretty plus pretty equals pretty. And that's what y'all did. Everything. And I was like, I'm so glad to hear that because beauty matters to me so much. So a garden doesn't have to be elaborate. I want it to be inviting. I know the house you used to live in was so soft and cottagey and sort of a craftsman situation, but with trellises of antique roses and big blousy hydrangeas. And I love that. Doesn't have to be perfect. Better if it's not.
Yeah.
And I'm that way about interiors as well. I don't want them to be overwrought. I don't want a garden to be overwrought so that you don't even want to put your toe in it.
Right.
So, that's kind of my philosophy. And my husband's the gardener. So, I just cut what he grows and arrange it. And it's a wonderful relationship in that way.
Yeah. There was a section about sculpture too that there's so many things. I think it's easy. I'm not a gardener either. But I admire them and I aspire to be, but I'm not going to be out there doing all the many tasks. And I wish maybe one day. Maybe I'll get there one day.
We all have different gifts. We really do. I got over the fact that I wasn't a gardener pretty quick. Especially with this magazine because, everybody assumes I'm a gardener. I am so not a gardener, and I'm okay with that. I love to promote beauty and beautiful gardens and gardening and great gardeners. I am happy to do that. That is my joy. And so, lean into your strengths.
Yeah.
Okay, but where's the line between a gardener and an enthusiast? Like, I'll put things in the ground. But does that make me a gardener?
Yeah.
Or is it...
Are you gardening?
Well, not right now.
No.
But
well,
I dream of it.
There's a difference in a garden designer and a gardener. And you can call yourself anything you want. But then if you try to enlist clients, you best have some letters after your name or a lot of experience or whatever. But for your personal use, if you are digging in the dirt, you're a gardener.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
I've got a gardener is like, there are certain people who their hobby, their free time, they want to be out pruning and digging and
yes. That's a legit gardener.
That is.
But I mean, if you like it, then call yourself whatever you want. But I'm just saying, if you like it, if you take joy in digging in the dirt and arranging and doing a border and, or even a container garden, whatever, you're a gardener. I mean,
thanks, Margot.
Yeah. Yes, I dubbed thee a gardener.
You mentioned Grey Gardens, but there are also a couple of international projects. So talk to us about sort of the geographics of the book, because obviously Flowers based in Birmingham. There's some southeastern gardens. There's a lot in the northeast, and then some abroad. California, yeah.
Frances Schultz's garden in California, which is anyway. She's this wonderful entertainer and gardener and arranger. So
I loved her book, The Bee Cottage.
Oh yeah.
She's
got great taste, great style, and one of my favorite people. I just will take a trip out west with her in a car. She's just really, really fun. So talented, and so this was actually her return engagement in one of my books. She was in Living Floral as well. Bee Cottage was in Living Floral. This is the ranch out west, so that was fun. But I think one of the international projects that I just was so grateful to include and to have access to was India Hicks and her father David's garden in England. And we actually were able to secure the services of Clive Nichols, who is a world-renowned garden photographer.
Wow.
So you have this iconic photographer, but also interior designer in David Hicks, and then his daughter India, who has the most incredible style and vision and also heart. She's a major international philanthropist. So to be able to highlight her life in that garden was just really, really special for me. I'm friends with India. She's a really cool girl,
Yeah.
She's just that. She has a heart as big as all outdoors. And then to hear her talking about her father in that garden and her life in that garden was just really special.
Yeah. Well, the English cottage and sort of English gardens has such you can perfectly envision that, right? And so I love.
Actually, I don't know if you've gotten to that chapter, but David Hicks did not want any flowers. So this is like the one chapter in Flowering Outdoors is like, well, we flowered it with pleached hornbeams. We flowered it with a row of terracotta pots and shrubs. We flowered it in a different way. So we look at the term flower as verb, not always blooms everywhere. So that was an interesting project for us for the book. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's a great way to think of that too, because we're kind of always talking about decorating your outdoors with the same principles that you use indoors, and kind of adding collections of flower pots. It seems like the perfect way to create a focal point, especially if you don't have things blooming or you don't have a grand sculpture to draw people's eye across or things
repetition.
Like that. Yeah.
There was one project, and now I can't remember what it was, but someone had sort of a terrace, and they had these trees in these white sort of lotus pots. And there probably were 15 of them. And I was thinking, to your point, I always think about buying lamps as you have to buy two.
Right.
You never buy one because you could separate them, but you might want to put them and create a more focus. And that's sort of the same. Maybe you take the same approach with planters. Like you should always buy at least two, maybe more, and you can kind of create more architecture with the planter. Where I don't usually think of planters as architectural.
But they are.
They are, yeah.
And
you certainly demonstrate that in the book.
Well, good. I'm so glad. Well, they really are. And they are as important as what you put in them.
Yeah.
And I think about this book per se, where there's all kinds of different planters. And, it's just personal taste. It really is. And you can have modern containers in a really kind of classical English cottage garden, and it can work.
Yeah.
You just have to do what you like. I think it's important to do what you like, not what somebody else likes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to find these planters. I'm going to find it while you ask.
Was it?
No,
at Grey
you're totally great.
Gardens?
I'm totally.
This one.
That's Grey Gardens.
Yeah.
Those are Indian. She had those commissioned.
They're so
Aren't
amazing.
they incredible?
They're so pretty and just, there's something so sculptural about it, even though it's all greenery because of the just row of hedges, the row of hydrangeas, the
and then they alternate with those little round boxwoods.
I mean, it just is really striking.
I loved it. I'm just carried away with Deborah Nevins was her landscape architect, and she did a beautiful job there. And she actually, that whole part of the garden was inspired by a blue gate, like a sort of temple door that they found in India, I think. And so, when you have a point of departure, whether it's in the garden or in the house, it's just so fun and personal I love that door, and then build an entire garden room around it.
Yeah.
Thematically, visually, color-wise, in every way. It's just fun.
Yeah.
And it gives you a starting point. Like when I was in design school 50 years ago, but you learned to start a room on the floor, but that was when everybody had Persian, rugs and Orientals. And so you just assumed that's where you were going to start. But now you can start a room or a garden with a color or a shrub or a container. a container, a planter that you love, a Chinese Chippendale planter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That can inform your entire plant selection.
Yeah.
Everything. It's just fun.
Yeah.
Just have fun.
Yeah. And then it really celebrates that thing that you love and makes your heart skip a beat. That's great.
Yes, and it recaps the theme. If so you can. I just love hearing your feedback on the book because it sounds like you're getting it. So thank you.
Okay, let's talk about your garden because you talk about your husband being the gardener, but I imagine you had, requests or input on the design. And I was curious because, there's a lot of discussion in here about the way they're executed. Do you put your garden together in a sort of, I'm going to do this space and then I'm going to do this space? Or did you do a master plan and sort of think through it holistically? What was sort of your approach?
You're just not really believing that I'm not a gardener, are you?
But you did. Certainly but you've got outdoor spaces.
Yes.
I mean,
all right. Okay.
I don't mean just the beds, but the programming, shall we say.
So I wanted something. We've been in that house 32 years, and it has shape-shifted over the years, but it's a cottage, and it's a cottage garden. It's a sort of woodland, loose, informal garden. The rooms are loose, the rooms are inviting, and the beds, I just like for beds to make sense. I like for you to be able to see things in a bed, and so I have sort of said, move that over to the right, honey. But that's really, plant selection and things like that. Gates is the one who does all the research on that.
Right.
To figure out what's going to grow where. And so we've used a lot of natives. And we have camellias, which are the state flower. We have them, and they bloom we have sasanquas that bloom in late August and through September and October. Then we have japonicas that are blooming now.
Yeah.
So and then we have some gardenias, which I can't wait for those. But, we have a lot of evergreen. We have boxwoods that were there when we bought the house, marching across the front. And I love those. And he wants to rip them up. And that's where I have some influence. I'm like, absolutely not.
But what about the outdoor spaces, paths, and there's so much to the gardens that's not just the plant matter,
Yeah, well, the way that you navigate the space, are you talking about mine? Our personal one?
I think
it's important. Ours is very much, it's approachable. You walk into a space and you're not covered up, but you're enveloped. We have a gazebo that Gates bought from a place called Elegant Earth, and installed it on Christmas Eve. And I woke up Christmas morning and there it was.
Wow.
Yeah.
But so how did y'all go about planning it though? Did it sort of happen like, okay, we're going to do these beds and then later we're going to do these? Or did you
can't remember. It's been 30 years. No, I will say, like our house, it doesn't have a master plan. Okay. We have invited a couple of garden designers and landscape architects into the story. And so you have a little bit of this and a little bit of that. But it's really my husband. It's his love of. He grew up on the lane where we live, and his mother was a master gardener in Birmingham. I don't know if you know this, but we have 2 GCA clubs. We're all flowers all the time, all gardens all the time in Birmingham. And so Gates grew up with that. And so and I did not. My mother knew who to call. So,
just as important.
So
honestly.
important to have that in your toolbox. But Gates's mother was a big gardener, and so he was around that, and he absorbed all that. And I will come along and say, like I did when we first got there, the garden was done. And so we began to soften it. Okay. I put in a cutting bed, not really a cutting bed, a border around the fence. We had a wrought iron fence around the pool, and I put in a border to soften it. And then I just went, okay, it's yours. Everything's yours. And then I'm like, we need some big olive jars in the corners of the pool. This Lady Banksia, the vines are obscuring everything. Let's cut that back and let's put some beautiful Panoria Newman planters on those columns. Let's do a treillage across the top so that we don't see our neighbors in their pool. That kind of thing. I mean, it's 4 acres, but we still have neighbors right there.
Yeah.
So it's just about how do you live? How do you want to live? It's pretty.
Right.
It's not a show garden by any means. And that's not who we are.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing wrong with a show garden. It's great, but that's just not who we are.
Yeah. So you sort of have been adding or subtracting
Absolutely. Just like the house.
as the need arrives.
As the mood strikes and what's in bloom and what's looking pretty this year and what, so we are going to have some firelight hydrangeas because that was our flower of the year so we're going to have some of those. So it's just ever growing, ever changing, we're not rigid, I'll say that.
Yeah.
And I think it helps.
One of my favorite projects was you were talking about the pools and enjoying the outdoor spaces, was the one in Texas where she had this one where she took she built a courtyard on the front of her house and sort of redid the wall.
Yeah, Courtney Eliason,
yes. And I just loved how furnished and decorated and fun that space is because it looks like a living room. I mean, it is. It actually looks like some Ballard sofas that she reupholstered. I don't know if it is, but we
probably did. I
we
don't
had
know
some
that we
Ballard
called
sofas
those
that looked
out,
just like
but
that.
yeah.
But anyway, it almost is like an indoor sofa that she had done in a fabric.
Performance fabric,
Yeah, and it looks like it should be like you want to have a party there.
Well, I think she does.
Yeah. And,
I mean, she really entertains a lot. And she's a designer, but she's also, she just has this space that she decided we're going to use this space.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And she kind of wrangled it into submission, and then she just I love what she did. I don't live like that, but she does.
Mm-hmm.
And the bocce ball court and just the interesting elements that make it hers.
Mm-hmm.
You're indoors but you're outdoors, and so there's this beautiful light, and so the colors are really vibrant, though they're partially indoors. And she's threaded that needle really well, I think. And that's one of the reasons we included that project, because to me it's the best of that style and that mode of just fusing the indoors with the outdoors, marrying the two.
Just the patterns and the trims. I mean,
it's not too much.
Yeah.
It's very, very fresh and crisp.
Yeah.
And inviting, but also it's just everything she's done is pretty thoughtful.
Mm-hmm.
As you read the chapter, you will see that. But we love that.
It was just a really fun one and something that I was so, just
Yeah.
you get transported, I think.
I love that you have spent so much time with the book.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What about you, Liz? What were some of your favorites other than Grey Gardens?
Okay. Well, there is Adam Grossman or Andrew Grossman's
the ballet dancer.
Yes. And it is such a wild and free garden, but then with such elements of structure, like the little the checkerboard between the
Isn't that fun?
Yeah. So it's pavers mixed with like kind
Grass.
of grasses, tall grasses. And that kind of setting the stage for all of these kind of wildflowers happening. That's kind of my dream space.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's one of the things
creative.
that it's so remarkable about this book is that there are the very structured and clean, inviting party spaces, and then the wild and woolly, like get lost secret garden type spaces. And each one of them is so inviting and then just ready to entertain.
Yeah.
I love it.
Thank you. I'm so glad you enjoyed that. And that particular garden to me is so interesting that he was a ballet dancer because it is a dance.
Yeah.
It's so beautifully choreographed. It is just this rhythmic flow of ordered and then wild, like you said.
Yeah.
But it's not chaotic.
And I think one of the things that he says in there is to limit the variety of plants that you have in your garden. And
hard.
You wouldn't think about that
It's hard for people.
looking at this garden because it is so, it's unbound. It is not constrained. But he says to limit the varieties, pick your color palette, and plant them in large groupings.
Yeah.
For impact.
Yeah.
Repetition is something that becomes so dramatic and it creates that drama. But I feel like in gardening, you kind of think about variety, whereas to your point, the repetition really makes it impactful.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you're trying to wrangle the big open space, right? And so you have to
want an anchor,
big open space.
But you want an anchor.
Yeah, big pieces.
Yeah.
Also, I would imagine, okay, I'm not the gardener, but I would imagine that it would make maintenance easier, no? Like if you have sort of fewer but more of the same thing where, okay.
Sure.
I've got 10, or 6 plants.
Right.
So they need, all of the hydrangeas I fertilize at the same time and I prune at the same time. So that way I can sort of.
It is easier.
Yeah.
Unless you have a staff of thousands.
Sure.
It's just, you want to be practical.
Yeah.
And you learn, like that border that I planted all those years ago, it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
It's gone. We just have a vista now. You see through to the pool with the olive jars and the treillage and all that. Because I couldn't keep it up because there were so many different types of plants. Mm-hmm. And I just couldn't. And, summer I was trying to be all fancy and get some growing this time of year and some growing that time of year, which is to a real gardener, that's not
skill.
fancy. That's just what they do.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't work for me. So, but, yes, repetition. If you look at Michael Devine's garden in Virginia he has those Chinese export porcelain temple jars along the walls as well, and then I think one of the gardens, there are terracotta pots just going up steps with the same geraniums in them, and that's not fancy. That's not elaborate. It's so impactful.
Yeah.
And it's easy, because we know those geraniums are in the sun. They're going to prosper and you don't have to do anything. And there you're on the Michael Devine page with the temple jars.
I mean,
I love that. I don't know how those temple jars did in a hurricane or tornado. I don't know. Or maybe he brings them inside. We didn't ask that.
Yeah.
But for the photo shoot and for the garden and the two terraces, the little wooden two terraces, just little sculptures, little moments in the garden. Really fun.
Yeah. And for our listeners, I think we need to describe this a little bit because these giant chinoiserie jars, ginger jars, are plucked and placed into bushes along with maybe some
ivy.
crepe myrtle trees and ivy, and it's just
and
it's a
so
real surprising
beautiful.
Moment, right? Because it's not something you expect to see.
It's unexpected.
Yeah.
And Michael is a wonderful designer of china and fabrics and wall coverings, and then his partner Thomas Burak is a designer who was a creative director at Schumacher for a year. So you've got some great taste, some great experience, melding together into this Orange, Virginia house and garden. It's really quite special.
Okay, you are an entertaining expert. You love that. I
didn't
editor
say
of
that.
magazine.
I didn't say that.
In which entertaining is a core theme.
Yes,
correct.
It is.
Was there anything while you were putting the book together that you revisited, in terms of tips or approaches that you thought, oh, wow, I forgot about that, or I love that. I need to, remember I'd forgotten.
Gosh, it's interesting because there are rules for entertaining and I have some personal things, but I really liked just seeing what everybody else was up to. For a photo shoot, you're always going to have things perfect, pretty much. I don't entertain that way.
Okay, what do you do?
And that's really what came to the fore for me as I edited and curated the collection of parties and outdoor alfresco parties that we had to pick from. Was that, gosh, these don't look like my parties, and not that I love how my parties look. I really do. And so it was just like, it's personal.
Yeah.
That's the thing to remember, is people aren't coming to your house for a photo shoot.
Right.
They're coming to your house for you and to see other people and to get to know you. A house and a party is really a portrait of the host. That's what it is. And it's a gift to the guests.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do I want to give? What do I want them to know about me? Well, they can see everything in my house because it's not fancy. It's a little hodgepodge. I just painted my kitchen floors in a diamond pattern, which was on the January-February issue of Flower, the pink and cream diamonds. That's my kitchen floor. Wild, And so, not elegant, fun, and not perfect. The floorboards, the hardwood is cracking already. It's old. I didn't want to replace it. I just wanted to paint over it. And I had been at Bunny Mellon's house in Oak Spring in Virginia, and almost all her floors downstairs are painted. Yeah. They're worn. They're not lipstick pink like mine. They're gray and cream or blue and cream. But I just took that away. And I was like, I want a little vestige of Bunny in my house.
Yeah.
I'm not the gardener like Bunny, but I do have topiaries, which was, sort of her symbol. So in the garden, we have some topiaries, For a party, I am not above lining my dining room table with topiaries and then putting little votive candles in between.
Yeah.
And if it's a holiday or if it's pretty fancy, I might underplant the topiaries with some sort of bloom. Roses or even I love carnations. I'm a maverick. People are like, carnations, ew, FTD, blah, blah, blah. No, carnations are chic. Look
at
who
loves carnation? It smells red.
I know. I love that about
I think
my
I asked him. We were shooting something at his house, and I said, "Okay, well, what kind of flower do you want me to put in there?" And he said, "I really like carnations." And I was like, "Oh, gosh, I did not expect that."
Yeah. See,
yeah,
we have a rehabilitating carnations move afoot.
You call Miles.
We're just gonna, because if you look at a carnation, it's frothy, it's lacy, it smells good, it's fresh. Almost every year, at my house, I do a Christmas party and I flower the tree every year. Almost every year, I use carnations because they last.
Yeah.
I don't even
They're
have
pretty
a water
affordable
source
too. They're affordable too. You can buy a ton for
Yeah, they're the cheapest flower out there. Not cheap of value, but
right,
least expensive.
Right.
They're wonderful, and they come in so many different colors.
When you put them in your tree, are you putting them in like little individual
No water source?
No water source.
No
You're
water
just
source.
putting them in there. Okay, my other question about carnations is. So I've seen, on Instagram, all over people are taking carnations and they're kind of forcing them open a little bit more and like plucking some of the inside petals and then opening them up even more and twisting them so that they look, a lot more full and they actually look like different flowers.
Like roses or peonies or something like that, trying to make them into something they're not.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fun. I don't do that.
You just go for it.
No. I will tell you what I do, and I learned this when I worked for Sybil Sylvester doing flowers all those years ago. You blow on a bloom if you want it to open up, and you can manhandle it a little bit. You can
without bruising it. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Flowers are tough. They've been in the rain. They've been in the storm. They're tough. You can just sort of manually open it up. But that's as far as I'm going to go. I'm not going to start pulling petals out of something that's there. That's fun.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what Instagram is so fun for, these great ideas. I won't do that. I just wouldn't do it.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair enough.
I do,
I'm going to lose followers over that.
No, you're not.
I'm kidding.
You're
I don't
purist.
care.
For the purposes of a photo shoot, definitely like prematurely opening the flower makes sense because you're trying to get it to a place where and you may not have the time to wait.
Not have that.
Right? But
we used to do that with peonies for weddings when I worked for Sybil. We would be out in the sun with our peonies trying to force them open, or we'd be in the shop with blow dryers plugged in, blowing. If it wasn't sunny, we'd be like giving it this. Yeah. I mean, you do what you have to do
for that moment.
For a specific,
We did a wedding where the bridesmaids wore seersucker. It was so cool. It's very Southern. And we had gardenia bushes on the tables, no arrangements. Well, the gardenia bushes came in unbloomed and some without buds at all, just leaves. So we overnighted some just loose gardenias to Birmingham, and we sewed and wrapped those gardenias on every single stem, every single. Yeah, I mean, you do what you have to do for an event.
Yep, right.
For a photo shoot. Fine. Smoke and mirrors, you can do it. But for everyday life, gardening, arranging, entertaining.
Yeah.
Carnations are pretty by themselves.
Well, I think it was Kate
Brodsky.
Kate Brodsky, talks in the book about, I think it was her. Flower arrangements are gorgeous on a table, but a potted begonia or fruit or something else can also be very dramatic and surprising and fun. And I love that, especially for outdoors, where sometimes you feel like maybe a big flower arrangement that you would put on your dining room table makes sense, but for an outdoor table, it can feel a little fussy.
Too much.
Yeah.
Too much.
I always go back to Miles Red too, because he likes to take mint. He'll just run to the corner grocery and grab some mint and put it in a julep cup.
Yeah.
And then put that on the table or put that as a little arrangement on a side table. So every time I come home with fresh herbs, I'm like, oh, well, I'm just going to do that. And it makes me feel better. I end up using those herbs a little bit sooner.
I love that.
Yeah.
I like that idea. I have these burlap votives, and I will just have a bunch of rosemary, basil, thyme, and but I don't mix them. I just do one, and march those down the table or whatever.
Yeah. I did that at Thanksgiving this year, where I just kind of put like a giant thing of herbs out on my coffee table.
Yeah.
It's an arrangement.
It's really fun.
It's an arrangement.
Yeah.
It's natural. But I love what you're saying about outdoors. You don't need to bring as much to the party, because if you think about outdoors, you're outdoors, right? You've got beauty built in. So how can you just sort of repeat, remember the beauty that's, and so what's in the garden? Bring things that are reminiscent of that, or just cut from the garden and put it on the table.
Yeah.
Because that really blends, that integrates everything. When you use what you have, you don't have to do much.
Yeah. Okay, but the other thing though that I feel like every designer did in the party section was tablecloths. I love the sort of juxtaposition, I guess, of doing this really fabulous over-the-top tablecloth, but also doing, a potted plant as the centerpiece. Like so
there's some stunning
you're sort of doing
tablecloths.
some more, not every day, but a more casual centerpiece. But then you've got this fabulous tablecloth instead. I just love the way it softens and brings pattern into the parties. And that's really kind of an easy add, right?
It is.
Because all you're doing is just throwing it on there. You don't have to do a lot, but it makes such an impact.
It is a perfect element. It's just that ingredient that, you can start your party with your tablecloth and then work from there, and you don't need to do much. That's your anchor.
Yeah.
That's your foundation, and then it sets the tone for everything else. If you think about Jane Scott Hodges' party in New Orleans, of course, she's in the biz,
print or the block
Leontine linens, but she borrowed tablecloths. I love that part of the story.
Yeah.
And she's very, upfront about, hey, and they were too short, so my husband had to go out and buy some gold saints tablecloths for under the, I just love her sort of transparent. This is what we did.
Yeah.
This is what we had to do. And it was a, smashing success. But it's, and in my neighborhood, we share china. If you're having a big party, you just call up and go, hey, I need 20, whatever, and flatware and everything. It's just, and we have tables that stay at one person's house. They're outdoor tables. And, you'll send your husband over there with a pickup truck to pick up the table, so it's nobody, we don't live like the Vanderbilts. We just don't. And we're happy. We're just us.
Yeah.
And be us. Be you in your garden, in your party, in your flowering, in your home. Be you.
Do you think that's a Southern thing? I do, because my mom would do that too. She and her best friends, if they were having people over for a tea or a, funeral, they would know, oh, okay, I know Madeline has a
samovar
three
for the
big,
iced tea.
yes, exactly, or like
Who's
3
got the
big
punch
silver
bowl?
platters. She's going to bring those over.
Yeah.
And it's because, there was so much around sharing, I think, and hosting one another that you just kind of knew your friend's stash.
Yeah. No, I think that's just something that we need to remember, that we need to keep building that community with our friends and share and host with each other.
Yeah.
It's a great way to include and incorporate other people, other styles and aesthetics into your party. And it's also like one of my things about flowering and entertaining is you don't have to match everything. And my mother loved everything bamboo, so that when I use her bamboo flatware, she's at the party. Those things that are story, that are part of your life. And if somebody asks, you can tell them. It's fun.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, my mother was a bit, whatever. Or my grandmother loved silver compotes. And so I've put the gardenia blooms in the silver compote in her remembrance. It's just, it doesn't have to be great or, super fancy.
Yeah. Well, I will say all of the fabulous parties and beautiful flower arrangements really made me think, what am I going to host this spring and summer? I need to go ahead and start, gathering my inspiration. And so it was all just
That's what we want.
Exciting. Really made me ready for warm weather and the season ahead.
Yeah.
So
that's what we want.
Thank you.
So we would be remiss if we did not talk about the show house. Now, can we spend a little bit of time there?
I'm happy to spend a little time there. It was a roaring success, so I'm happy to talk about that.
Yeah, so the Flower Show House happened this past October in Nashville.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to say that I didn't get a chance to go, but I have seen.
Well, there's the issue right there.
Yes,
yes. Everyone, make sure that you get it's the March-April edition of Flower Magazine. They're highlighting all of the rooms, and
the whole issue is the show house.
It is okay. The
fabulous.
Flower Show House is always a showstopper.
Oh, thank you.
It is always just such a stunning group of designers who just bring their A game. And
we love them.
Yeah. And what would you feel like is the theme? Because everyone has their own room and they don't always necessarily speak to each other about what's happening in the adjoining room.
They never do.
But yet there is such synchronicity that happens at the Flower Show House. So
Thank you.
So talk to me about what are you pulling together? Like, how are people thinking about it, talking about it?
Love that.
What are your takeaways from this year's show house?
Well, thank you. It has been, as I said, such a success. And I made some phone calls. That's my role. I mean, that's so simplistic, but it's all in who you invite to participate. Sponsors, designers, the builder, Maker Construction, who brought this project to us, is a friend and a great guy. And knows me and knows my vibe and knows my bent towards pretty.
Yeah.
And the house was had a checkered past, we'll say, and it needed some love. It needed some retelling, a new story. And I saw that. And it was so big. My team, we drove up to look at it and they went, "Are you crazy?" I was like, "No, we can do this. We can do this." And we did. And, we had great people and great sponsors and great help. And my team is really, really adept at this. And so it was, I think the people that we invited to participate,
Yeah.
the designers,
Incredible talent.
And
really.
they love beauty. It wasn't like, even Sean Anderson from Memphis, who did the library, which was so cool and but very masculine and very brown but it was pretty. And the flooring, textures flooring, and these guys, anyway, I don't want to plug everybody, but there was just even a room that didn't have a colorful patterned wall covering or fabric was still pretty.
Mm-hmm.
And then Mark Sykes transports us to Tangier with the green and white tent with the lacquered green bar. Rebecca Gardner and her taking us to basically Downton Abbey and the scullery, and just all the wild fun things that she did. It goes on and on. Everybody brought it. And it's like, I don't know. I think because it's flower, they know we want it to be pretty, not just floral per se. It doesn't have to be that. You don't have to have flowers, but there's a life and there's a sense of beauty that pervades this house. And it's important to me because beauty matters.
Yeah.
And I think every designer felt the same way, and they did. They went beyond.
I love that is the thread that carries through the entire home.
I think so. I think that's what it is. It's just, and there's some things that are subjectively beautiful. Like I really like pink and you don't. That's subjective beauty. But then there's some things that are just objectively beautiful. And there, Corey Damon Jenkins.
Oh my gosh.
His
those
space.
drapes.
Oh my gosh. And so inventive, so creative.
Yeah.
And then Janie Molster, who's on the cover, wild, fun, sort of teenage family space with all this striped paint. We were going to paper. She wanted to paper that room and they couldn't get it to match, whatever. So Ben Moore said, "Oh no, we can do that. We'll paint that."
Wow. Okay.
Incredible. Yeah.
Because it's not just, a pink and orange wide stripe on the walls. There is an intricate striped design on the ceiling of
You
that
have been
room.
paying attention. Yes.
I always pay attention to this flower show
I
house.
love you for that. Thank
It was
you.
so
Liz.
great.
Really fun.
Thank you. Yeah, and that, that was part of it. Janie Molster's from Richmond. She's the coolest chick. She's just everything she does, everything she wears, everything she says. I love her. And so we were so excited to get to put her on the cover because that room said it all.
Yeah. And that room stood out as being so different than every other room in the show house, too.
But it played well anyway.
Yeah.
But if you think about the palette,
Yeah.
and the flowers and, it just worked. And then I love, you read about in the issue, she wanted the candy motif. And then, the pink bubblegum and pink and the caramel. In the room, she had these huge compotes full of caramels and bazooka bubblegum. Stop
Brilliant.
it. Yes, I was in there a lot. So were all our docents, but it's so Janie. It's the show house and people had fun.
Yeah.
And they, I hate to crow, but there was no drama in the installation. There was it was.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That is unusual for a show house, right?
Brendan and Kayla, our show house whisperers. Our show house manager, Brendan, this is his third flower show house.
Yeah.
So anyway.
There's so many moving parts, and you have a firm timeline. And like people are showing up on whatever day it is.
And 20,000 square feet.
Yeah.
It's our biggest to date. And some people have asked what's next, and I'm like, the opposite of that. But still in a cool, good way. It's going to be really interesting.
Do you know where it'll be?
Yes, it will be in Virginia.
Oh, exciting.
And it's going to be a different model, totally different.
Exciting.
It'll be a real. It's just going to be a departure for us, and so going to be really interesting to see. And I can't divulge anymore because we haven't signed on the dotted line yet. But
great little
stay tuned.
Little tester.
Teaser,
Amuse-bouche, if you will.
Amuse-bouche, I will. Yeah.
Oh, this is great.
Yes. Well, thank you so much. Love having you.
Love being
Flowering
here
outdoors,
with you guys.
gardens and parties.
Yes, thank you.
Well,
it's available today.
Today?
It dropped today.
I didn't know.
Which won't be the day that people see
exciting.
It dropped on the 17th, so it is available for purchase anywhere fine books are sold.
Exciting. Margot, thank you as always. It's a pleasure.
Thank you, Liz. Thank you for having me.
And that's our show. You can find all of the show notes on our blog, howtodecorate.com/podcast.
To send in a decorating dilemma, email your questions to podcast@ballarddesigns.net so we can help you with your space.
And of course, be sure to follow us on social media at Ballard Designs.
Don't forget to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts so you never miss an episode. And please leave us a review. We'd love to hear your feedback.
Until next time, happy
decorating.